Suppose my father touches me and feels my skin, then I will be seen by him as a cheat, impostor. And I will bring him curse. He will bring his curse on me and not a blessing. Listen to what mom said. But his mother said to him, may your curse be on me, my son. Only listen and obey. Go and bring the goats. It is most touching to hear what happened in a family like this. It is most touching to know that most of the things that is happening in our lives started from home. To those of you who have moms and dads still alive at home, you know the importance of mom and dad. Sometimes what comes out of their mouth, it's not what you expected. The teaching that has come out of them, totally against what you know, what you understand, what you have been taught by them earlier. But in situation as such, they have changed to something else. I hope and believe that we can be moms and dad of how God wants you to be. When Jacob questioned mom, all mom was saying, your curse will be upon me. Go ahead and do what I told you to do. What happened here, as we begin to read down the line, you will see the accounts of Rebekah. She did what she did because she favored her son. She could not see that the blessing of the father goes totally to Esau, the eldest. I have come across a situation like this where dad want to change the position of the elders because they are not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. Is that a good enough reason for us to change? I'm asking. Because of something happened, dad got mad, do not agree with the elders. He turned around and said, I'm taking away that position. I remember I was talking to my dad at one particular time because he was wanting to do this. I told him, you don't have the right to do that. You don't have the authority to change that position. It is divinely, it is godly. Doesn't matter whether he can talk or cannot talk. It is God's divine appointment. My prayer, and I plead with you, ladies and gentlemen today, moms and dad, if God has anointed and appointed something, let it be so. Let it be so. What happened next? He is answerable to God. Play your part rightfully. God will bless you. We see what happened. We see how things begin to unfold, and we see how God moves awesomely. Unfortunately, it started from home. Most of the things that we instigate, most of the things that we initiate, most of the things that we see now begin to unfold. It never starts from the streets. It never starts from a workplace. It started from home. Moms and dads, share it right and share it properly. Moms and dad, sometimes you got to know your limit. Sometimes you got to know where you're supposed to. Sometimes you've got to realize that God has ordained something that cannot be touched, that cannot be moved. If ever that you force yourself into it, that's going to be the start of the problem, onwards and onwards and onwards. Eventually, I call it to some point, Jacob got his blessing. But it is a stolen blessing, should I say. In Genesis chapter 27, verses 27-29, unfortunately, Jacob was chased away from home. His dad told him, you have to leave. You cannot exist in our home. You have to go. Nevertheless, the blessing is still upon him. His dad Isaac cannot take back how he blesses his child. In Genesis chapter 28, verses 1-2, Jacob, even though blessed, he was still being sent away from home and cursed. One of the curses I remember that Isaac told Jacob, he said, you will never marry a Canaanite. That's mean, where we are now, you will get a woman from outside our place. You will never experience what life is. You will have to get out from our home and go elsewhere. You see, cursed life is not always easy to live with. Cursed life is not always easy to go by. You will always miss out on what God has prepared. Even to a point you are afraid of God. You know that God exists. You know that God is alive. But you're still on the run. We know who we are. You know what we face. We know what we're going through in life. To some point when we reach life will begin to turn so difficult. We make promises to God for our survival. In Genesis chapter 28 verse 20, you see Jacob begin to make promises. He knows that he cannot fulfill it. But because he need to live, he need to walk, he need to enjoy life, he made promises. He knows that he cannot fulfill it. What do you call it today? Telling lies. Using your tongue to fulfill what you desire. In our walk with God, we should be cautious. We should be careful what God is in our lives. Sometimes we use our tongue to fulfill what we desire for. Sometimes we use our mouth to fulfill our desire and our wishes, which no one else you think could with God. But because you're far away from God, all you could do is to use your mouth to fulfill it. I remember at one particular point, chapter 28, Jacob began to talk. And he said, if God will be with me, will protect me, will give me food, will give me clothing and protection, then I will serve him. You see, there is an element in our walk. There is some truth that is being embedded in our life. We know that God is alive. We know that God blesses. We know that God listens. Even when we face problems, even when we go through troubled times and problematic situation, we know that we are far away from God. We tend to turn to God and tell God, God, if you can listen to me, God, if you can protect me, God, if you're going to provide me food, clothing, and shelter, I will serve. Have you find at some point of your life begin to make promises to God? Begin to talk to God, even when you know that you are far away or too far from God? It happens. It happens to us. We try to strike a deal with God. It is most unfortunate that this is how we face life to some point. Chapter 29 of Genesis, it's beautiful to read. When we go through it, we begin to find that even our own flesh and blood cannot be trusted. Even to those who we value, who we call mom, who we call dad, who we even see and look up to them as our spiritual leader, they themselves cannot be trusted. This is how Jacob painted out a picture. When he looked to his mom and his dad, he reckoned they cannot be trusted. Because of what happened, because of what took place in his life. He's been so emotional about it. He's been so depressed about it.